It's a beautiful rainy day.
Availability, can you give it?
At least it's a little bit warm.
Water at least.
Welcome, Anil. I'm going to, my name is KU, and I'm going to be my coordinator for today. I'm going to introduce Prabhu before we begin. So, it's my honor and privilege to introduce you to the speaker. His name is Chaitanya Charan. He is a monk, he is a mentor, and a spiritual author. He has done his electronics and telecommunication engineering from the Government College of Engineering, Pune, in India. Seeing the prevalent problems of stress, depression, addiction, and overall misdirection, all caused by a lack of spirituality, he felt inspired to dedicate his life to the cause of sharing the spiritual wisdom of Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Yoga. He is the author of the world's only Gita daily feature, wherein he writes daily 300-word inspirational reflection on a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Till now, he has written over 1700 Gita meditations that are posted on GitaDaily.com and are read through daily feeds of thousands from all over the world. He also answers questions by seekers on his site, thespiritualscientist.com, where his over 3,500 audio answers and several hundred articles are available. Prabhu has been giving class in all throughout United States, all over the world, as a matter of fact, in many of the reputed universities, in many of the like big companies like Google and Microsoft, and he has been an author of many wonderful books, as he will introduce them during his speech. So please welcome Chaitanya. And today's topic is spirituality in the age of AI.
Am I audible to everyone? Yes. Thank you. So, grateful to be here with all of you. Let's begin with, we will recite this invocation. Most of you know this Om. Is it visible to everyone from behind? So, we'll recite Om together and then I'll repeat it. Namo. Om Namo. Each word we'll recite separately. Bhagavate. So basically this is an invocation to the divinity that exists within us and without us to guide us towards light and love. And Bhagavate refers to the divinity and Vasudevaya refers to the presence of the divinity everywhere. So you can close your eyes and we can take 3 deep breaths and then we will recite Om, a long drawn out Om together. Close your eyes, 1 deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let us together recite Om and let's try to draw it out as long as we can. Om. Namo. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Once more. one deep breath and then a long Om. The remaining, we don't have to draw them out so long. One deep breath. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One last time, one deep breath. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you for coming today. So today, as was mentioned in the introduction, I will talk about social media, specifically as it is spawned into AI and spirituality. So before I do that, let me begin by, I'd like to request you to share your thoughts. How do you think AI has affected our life, or why does AI matter to us? How is it changed, or how is it likely to change the way we live or the way we function? And then we'll discuss how spirituality would relate with that. Yes, please. So whoever answers, you can just mention your name and then you can speak. Yeah.
My name is Kavya.
Yes, please.
So, if I consider AI in both the ways, like positively, it has impacted our lives in such a way that it is helping us to direct our thoughts by helping us in giving the information which is required for our any kind of work which we are doing. So, it is like a boosting thing for us, like how it provides information. But if we talk in terms of, say, the other side, it has created that dependency which is limiting us to think because like on our own, so our intelligence using our intelligence is getting impacted because we are dependent on the artificial intelligence.
Okay, good points. I think you have taken away all the points from everyone else. Thank you. Yeah, dependency, our thinking capacity, our thinking use, thinking muscles may have decreased. Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Yes, so I'll just talk about the limitations.
Yeah, your name?
My name is Anurag.
Anurag. Yes.
So what I think is it is still working on the past data. So it has a limitation, but it is giving best of the past data. Especially you talk about the generative AI. But if you talk about if you do something creative, so there is a lot of limitations and errors that may you also fall into an error. So still, AI is very small as compared to what we have inside.
Okay, because it works only on past data, so it is lesser than our brain, you could say. Still is quite ominous. Okay, thank you, Anurag. Yes, please.
My name is Srinivas. So human memory is actually degrading by century. With AI, it is further degrading because we are now started depending on AI, like using it, right? So as Mataji also mentioned, we are now started depending on the AI. Our thinking process and as well as the memory started degrading.
Okay, it is aiding or accelerating the degrading of memory.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
I mean, that is a negative side of it.
Yes.
Obviously, it has its own benefits, but at the same time, the ego side is pretty.
Yes, true. Thank you. The more it is used as a crutch, it can lead to our atrophying of our own thinking ability, our recollecting ability. Yes. Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Chaitanya. It has opened up a very good interface to integrate with a very vast amount of information, which was previously very scattered, and now it is at one place, and in a very language that we understand. Interface with that information.
So, is it something similar to the first point of positive access to information? It's an interface with vast information, vast scattered information. In one sense, this started with the internet and Google, and now it has become much faster. Internet just gives us random searches, Google gives searches, but here it's integrated and provided for us. Yes, thank you. Yes.
It has impersonified the overall, like there is no personal touch anymore. When you pick up a phone and then a voice will talk to you. So there is no personal touch, there is no interaction between the humans.
Okay, it's an interesting verb. I never used this word till now. Impersonified. We are personified. It has impersonified communication. Yeah, that's true. Wherever humans, where human contact was necessary in the past, now it has become unnecessary, at least from a functional perspective. But that doesn't mean from a emotional, psychological, deeper perspective it's unnecessary. True. Thank you. Any one or two other points? Yes, Tarini. Yeah.
So I have a few negative points. So it makes one lazy, reduces creativity, and also then overall makes people more intolerant.
That's
they're used to getting everything at a snap of fingers.
So are you saying intolerant in the sense of impatient?
Impatient, yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's quite a, I guess it's the strongest critique till now in the functional terms. Okay, sure. Thank you. Any last point from your end? Yes, please.
My name is Anirudh, and my point is that it replicates the existing biases of the developers. So
Yes.
talks about neutrality, there are some inherent biases built into the AI models.
Yes, biases. Actually, they can be not only replicated, but they can also be aggravated, because unless a person has a discerning mind, they can presume that what is being told is actually real, authoritative, and that can lead to further misleading. Yes, that's true. So I think that's related to your point of intolerant also. So yes. So thank you. Quite a good number of thoughtful points. I was coming here and I told those who were driving me that I hadn't prepared anything. Now you give me some points to speak on. But I'll take a broader framework over here. Actually, I just came here from Seattle, and before that I was in Silicon Valley. Both these are places where AI is being developed, and I spoke at several companies over there. I talked with some of the people who are in the cutting edge in this field, and several points came up, but I'll use a broad framework to analyze this. The first point is that generally any change, there are two ways the human mind responds to change. One is utopia. Does anyone know what utopia means? Any of the kids? Sorry? Yes, utopia is everything will be wonderful in the future. And then the opposite of it is dystopia. So dystopia is everything is going to be dreadful. So in general, this is the tendency of the human mind to go towards extremes. That any change that comes up, it's going to bring in paradise, it's going to bring in hell. That's the extreme. And this starts right from the time in the early 15th 16th centuries when the printing press was invented. And the first books started getting printed. They were used to start in the West, in Europe primarily. print the Bible. And the church said that the Bible is made so easily available, it will cheapen the word of God. And once the word of God becomes cheapened, God will become cheapened. And a society will be ruined by that. So right from that time onwards, every invention, when the mills were invented, those who were doing hand weaving, they felt our life will be ruined. And there were Luddites who protested against every technological advancement. So same way as things moved forward, when the weapons of mass destruction were developed, when the internet came up, when social media came up, now each of these has had harmful effects, no doubt. But at the same time, it's both ways. Neither utopia has been realized, nor has dystopia materialized. So what exactly happens? I will talk a little bit specifically about AI, but I'll talk about a broader principle. Whenever technology develops, essentially technology, what it does, it increases our power. That is the essence of technology. Technology was founded, science itself was founded by people like Einstein, so like Newton. Technology, the idea of using science to change things in nature, that was pioneered by people like Francis Bacon. And he said that knowledge is power. Now, while that statement has been almost universalized to emphasize the importance of knowledge, but he used it in a specific sense. He used it to say that nature is cruel, nature is evil. Through nature, there are extremes of weather. Through nature, there are storms. Through nature, there are diseases. And the more technological power we get, the more we will be able to bend nature to our will. And in that sense, it says knowledge is power. So the more technology we get, the more power we will get. And by that power, we will be able to deal better with the challenges that the world or nature throws at us. So essentially, this was Francis Bacon's idea. Now, Carl Jung was a prominent philosopher, psychologist, primarily psychologist, but he also had many philosophical ideas. So he made a very significant point about the nature of scientific progress. Essentially what he said, the more outer power we get, and technology gives us a lot of outer power, the more outer power we get, the more inner power we need. The more inner power we need to be able to use that outer power properly. And what he put his finger on is that the problem is not that the outer power has increased. The problem is that correspondingly there have been no attempts made to increase people's inner power. Now the word inner power can mean many different things, but in this context, inner power means basically the capacity to use our judgment, our intelligence properly so that we can use outer power better. So, inner power, see basically inside us we can say we have our intelligence, and in the Gita's language we have our mind. So we could say the intelligence refers to our contemplative, reflective, thoughtful faculty. The mind refers to our impulsive side. If you sit there, can you see this? Okay. Good. So basically, inside us, both these sides are there, the reflective side and the impulsive side. So whenever some situation comes up, at that time, there's an impulsive side says, come on, do this. If somebody disagrees with us, then immediately the impulsive side urges us, the desires, the emotions, the cravings, the hurts, the hang-ups, or the urges, show this person their place. Hit them where it hurts. It could be, most often it's not physically in our civilized society, but often at least it's verbally. So get angry, yell at them, put them in their place. But the reflective side may say, hey, wait, let me think what's going on over here. If this person is being disagreeable, is being disruptive, maybe there's a reason. Let me try to understand it. That's why we try to get to know people's background. Now, to know people's background essentially means to know what is on their back and what is under their ground. That means everybody is carrying some burdens. Which is why if somebody is walking in a very twisted way, we can laugh, why are you walking like that? Or maybe they are carrying an invisible burden. Or maybe the ground on which they are walking is slippery. So the point is that we have this capacity to discern. So inner power basically ensures that the contemplative side is stronger than the impulsive side. It is not that the impulsive side is always bad. That also is useful in some ways sometimes. But when we lack inner power, say somebody gets angry. I just came from America. There is many places. There's very easy access to guns. Now, it's a very politically surcharged issue. But the point is that people say guns don't kill. It is people who use guns kill. Which may be true. But the point is, if people are not trained in impulse control, we all will get angry. When we get angry, we may yell at someone, we may throw a few punches, physical or verbal. But if somebody has a gun, they can do untold damage. So the point is, the more outer power we have, the more inner power we need. So AI is one specific development in human history where our outer power in terms of gaining information has increased enormously. Now, it's not just information, not just raw data, it's also organized data. It's also, now with respect to creativity, we can get ideas for creativity. We human beings have to develop creativity. I was talking with one of the AI pioneers in Microsoft in Seattle, and he was telling me that there's a widespread concern that AI will take away the jobs of people. He said, actually, what is going to happen is, AI won't take away the jobs of people. AI will take away the jobs of people who can't work with AI. So, those who learn to work with AI, because it's a tool, it's a powerful tool. Those who learn to work with AI, their jobs won't be taken away. But still, the point is, it's a tool, and it is in many ways a tool unlike the previous tools. So here, I'll talk about, this whole session will be two parts. We talk about how outer power has increased and how inner power has decreased. And while we cannot correct or we cannot stop the increase of outer power, but what we can try to do is, we can try to equip ourselves so that we increase our inner power, by which we can use outer power better. Okay. So basically, technology at one level is nothing but a set of tools. But what happened was, initially, say we could have tools simply like axes. We could have tools like tractors. Now these tools are basically extensions of human hands and legs. And those tools, we can clearly see them as tools. But say when the calculator was developed and then the computer was developed, so these were extensions of the human hands and legs. But many philosophers of science, they felt that when these were developed, these were extensions of the human brain, and a particular boundary was crossed. What is that boundary over there? That, say, if somebody is working for us, but if we know that that person is smarter than us, then that naturally creates a sense of insecurity. If I am, say, working in the medical field, if I am a doctor and the doctor working under me, I know is better than me, then it naturally creates some amount of insecurity. then the question comes, okay, then why am I, on what basis am I his or her boss? So is it that just I have more money? Is it that I have more experience? What is it that I have that this person doesn't have? And if we don't find anything like that, then that creates even more insecurity. And that's when we try to suppress the other person. But you say, okay, you may have more expertise, but I have more experience. And then we can have a good relationship. We can work together. So basically, when the person using the tool is greater than the tool, is better than the tool, then the tool remains a tool. But when it seems as if the tool has become better than the person, that's when a lot of insecurity comes up. And then this is what has especially happened with AI. Now, AI itself is not a new thing. The idea of using some intelligence to assist human intelligence has been widespread. So when we have encyclopedias and we have online encyclopedias, so the challenge is that when the tool seems to be better than the person using the tool, then is the relationship between the tool and the person, is the tool a supplement? Is the tool a supplement for the person, or will the tool become a replacement for the person? This is where the tension comes. If my subordinate is better than me, my subordinate can overthrow me and usurp my position. So this is where, when AI developed, this is where a certain level of existential angst came up. That is this actually better than us? So there are many movies which come up about AI dystopia and how whether once we have intelligent robots, they may annihilate human beings. The Frankenstein monster is enduring imagery in the modern mind. So I talked till now about how the outer power has increased and what are the implications of the outer power. So then let's now shift to the other part. This will be the major part of the talk and the last part of the talk. What do we mean by inner power, and why does it matter, or how can we increase that power? So now, inner power. What is this inner power that we humans have? See, we humans basically, in our lives, there are two broad things that we need. We need means and we need meaning. Means are again tools. They are associated with outer power. But it is we humans who also seek meaning for our life. Why does it all this matter? How does it all this count? So we humans seek meaning in life. And AI, with all its sophistication, it can tell us how meaning has been interpreted by different philosophers. But AI itself is not something which is itself searching for meaning. So it is we humans. When is it possible? Like I said, inner power. When is this inner power possible for us? It is only when the word meaning is often associated with the word purpose. I'll talk about the relationship between the two of them. Meaning and purpose, talk about it. So it is we humans, our power comes when we are able to put purpose above pleasure. So essential, our power is that to be able to put purpose above pleasure. The less inner power we have, the more the search for pleasure takes us away from our purpose. So that means if I have inner power, okay, my purpose is, okay, I want to study, I want to become a professional in this field, I want to gain expertise in this particular area. So I'll use my phone, I'll use my laptop, I'll use AI to gain that knowledge. So that is, I have power, then my purpose goes above my pleasure. But if that inner power is lacking, then okay, I have my phone, I have my laptop, there are so many movies on Netflix and this and that, and then what happens is Netflix becomes a net in which we get fixed, isn't it? We get fixed and trapped. So then the search for pleasure takes us away from any meaningful purpose in our lives. So AI in its specifics can be a very powerful tool, but it is for us to ensure that the promise of pleasure through quick outer power, I can know about this, I can know about that, I can watch this, I can now there's so much that can be done with AI, but it's all outer power. And what is it that I want to use that power for? That is the key thing. And Martin Luther King also put his finger on this almost 50 years ago when he said that our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided men and misguided missiles. Is it true? No. What did he say? Yes, we have guided missiles and misguided men. So guided missiles refers to, in terms of our discussion, which power is this? Outer power. And misguided men is inner power is lacking. So this was what King said. So this is, he put his finger on this almost 50, 60 years ago. And it's even more true today. So I'll talk about three broad points about how we can gain or regain inner power. That is the capacity to put purpose above pleasure. It's not that pleasure is bad, but it is important that we are able to make sure that we have a purpose beyond pleasure. Now, why is that? Because pleasure itself as a purpose soon becomes meaningless and empty. How many of you like humor? Humor. Okay. Many times when I say this, most people don't raise hands. How many of you like humor? I said humor. So although many people don't raise hands. I asked one of the participants. This was in where was this? This was in Florida. So he says that actually, no, your classes have no humor. So I thought it was a test. No, there's no test over here. So we all like humor. And if there's a comedy show where there's a lot of humor, we'll enjoy it. But if somebody says, okay, from tomorrow onwards, you have no financial obligation, no family obligation, no social obligation, no health obligation also. Just sit in front of a TV and for the rest of your life, watch comedy shows. How many of us would enjoy that? It may be half an hour, 1 hour, maybe a few hours if you're really bored or frustrated, maybe for a whole weekend. But after that, we want to do something, isn't it? See, we want pleasure, but we don't want meaningless pleasure. Like just laughing at jokes, it's meaningless. So we intrinsically want pleasure, but actually we want meaning more than pleasure. So I'll talk about these three things, three ways by which we can gain or regain inner power. So if we never had it, we'll gain it. If we had it but have lost it, we'll regain it. So I'll talk about this in terms of an acronym, IIT. Now IIT is a prominent institute in India. It's called the Indian Institute of Technology. One of my student friends who went there and he had a terrible time over there. He said it's the Institute of Infinite Torture. But anyway, so we all can become IIT degree holders. And since we look at these three principles by which we can keep purpose above pleasure, by which we can gain inner power. So the first is intention. So, what does that mean? That for each one of us, it is important that we evaluate our own desires. So generally what happens is, we say, I desire this, I desire that. And often we think of desire and we often talk of discipline. Basically as, I have got a desire, and will I say yes to the desire or will I say no to the desire? So often we think of, if I have to discipline myself, then I have to say no to my desires. Oh, if I have to study this, then I can't watch this TV, and I can't play this, I can't do that. If I have to work on this job, then I have to say no to that desire. Well, that's what we think, generally speaking. Well, there is some truth to that, but actually, instead of thinking of our desires as just singular, our desire is actually not singular, it is multi-layer. Multi-layer means that we have superficial or surface desires, and then we have deep desires. So another way to differentiate is, there is what we want, and then what we want to want. What does it mean? What we want to want? Now what I want, maybe, I just want to eat all the tasty food that I can. But what I want to want is, I want to have a fit body, I want to have a high energy level, I want to have an attractive physique, I want to be energetic and effective in my life. So there is what we want is often a superficial desire that is often triggered by externals. We see something here, we see something there, and we get that desire. That's what we want. But so you can say what we want is largely like an outside in kind of thing. We see something outside and it's triggered from within us. But what we want to want are much deeper desires within us. So the Bhagavad Gita in 270, it talks about this curious term called na kama kami. It says, don't be a desirer of desire. What it means is that many desires will be proposed by the world from outside us. So now with technology advancing, there are so many options. Oh, read this, learn this, watch this, enjoy this. So many propositions will come in. But it is for us, when we talk about intention, is what do I really want? What do I want to want? So there will be always the noise of desires within us. But then, so when we talk about, when I'm using the word here intention, it is not about suppressing desires at all. It is about selecting desires. So it is about which desire is more important for me. So unless we start with an inside-out approach where I am clear about what I really want, not just what I want in the moment, what do I really want? Say 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. What is really of value for me? What really matters? So unless we do this homework, and not just do this homework, but revisit this regularly, the world will just pull us here, there and everywhere. So what really matters for us? This is where our intention comes in. What really matters for me? And when we take some time out, many times people say, cut off from your gadgets. Nowadays there's detox, digital detox. Okay, one of my friends, he tells me that once a week I fast from devices. So he says, this particular day, say, don't contact me, or if you need to contact me, contact somebody else and they will contact me. He says, I'm not going to touch my devices. Which is an interesting concept. We may not be literally able to do that, but we can decide some kind of regulation, because we are not pulled by just the things that just come from the outer world. So what really matters for me? So some certain level of introspection, maybe some journaling, some taking time out for ourselves to really contemplate what really matters for me. That is the first step. So if you want to regain inner power, we need to first focus on, okay, what is my purpose? Now, I'm not talking in some cosmic purpose, even from a practical perspective, what is it that really matters for me? So this is where introspection, the Gita talks about vivikta desha sevitvam, just sometimes arati vijana samsadi, sometimes being to ourselves to really contemplate is helpful. That's the first point. What is the acronym? IIT. So first was intention. Thank you. The second is so as a part of intent, to develop our intention itself, we can do introspection. So, but the second is intelligence. Now, intention is more associated with solidifying or concentrating our desires. We humans have two capacities broadly, our feeling capacity and our reasoning capacity. So what are we trying to do over here is, we are trying to find out, okay, what really matters for me first. And then intelligence, the word intelligence can have many different meanings. But essentially, intelligence means that whenever we encounter something, there is the appearance of that thing, and then there is the substance of that thing. So intelligence is the capacity to see beyond appearance to substance. Now this can apply in any field. Say if somebody is a good car mechanic, they have intelligence with respect to automobiles. And we may just say that my car is not working or my car is making a strange sound. And for us it's just a strange sound, that's the appearance. It's the sound to us, just strange. But for them, oh, your carburetor is gone. They can, because of the intelligence, they can go beyond appearance to substance. Somebody is a doctor. They say, okay, you're looking very, somebody may say, you're looking very pale. A doctor may say, maybe you got anemia. We have to check out what's happening. So basically, what we see only as the appearance, when we have intelligence, we can go beyond it to see the substance. In general, the development of intelligence means that there are visible, okay, is this color visible? Okay. There are visible phenomena, and underlying them there are invisible principles. So intelligence is the capacity to go from visible phenomena to invisible principles. When Newton saw the apple falling, some people say the apple fell on him, so he felt the apple falling, whichever way. Now hundreds of people had probably seen apples falling. But what did he do? Okay, the visible phenomena is the apple falling, the invisible principle is gravity. He inferred from there. So what the Bhagavad Gita tells us is, the key to understanding or gaining inner power is to understand that there is more to reality than what meets the eye. That our very existence is multi-level. So there is reality, there is a material aspect to reality, but beyond that there is a spiritual aspect to reality. So we see each other's physical side, and that's our first appearance, that's the first appearance that we have for everyone. But we are beings beyond our physicality. So all of reality has more than what we see. So we could say there are, going back to this is related to the previous point, but I'll say differentiate it. There are things that glitter and there are things that matter. So intelligence is the capacity to see beyond the things that glitter to the things that matter. So going back to our discussion about outer power, technology, tools, AI, it can all provide us many more things that glitter. Oh, this information, this. But that there is something that matters beyond it. At one level, intention means this is what matters for me. We have decided that. But intelligence gives us a vision of reality that is congruent with our desires. I have superficial desires for the things that glitter, but my deeper desires are for the things that matter. The Gita talks about this. Even in our search for happiness, it states that there are things which taste like nectar initially, but they will taste like poison eventually. These are mundane pleasures. But opposite to that, there are spiritual or deeper pleasures, deeper joys in life. And they may taste like poison in the beginning, but they will taste like nectar in the end. So intelligence means, as I said, I talk about 3 levels of the understanding of intelligence. First is to see beyond the immediate, to see beyond the appearance to substance. So that seeing beyond appearance to substance is not just in terms of how there is more like in terms of physical knowledge or like the working of a body, the working of the car, but there is more to reality. That beyond the material there is a spiritual. Beyond things that glitter, there are things that matter. So ultimately, there are things that give us immediate pleasure, but that is short-lived pleasure. And there are things that give us deeper happiness, which lasts longer. So we are spiritual beings, and we have these 2 resources. We have our intelligence and we have our mind. So we are spiritual beings. So this diagram may seem a little complicated, but don't worry, I'll make it a little more complicated. After that, I'll simplify it. But basically, we have these 2 faculties within us, and our mind, when we look through the mind, we look only at initials. And no, yes. Okay, hey, there's so much trouble over here, poison over here, I don't want to do this. There's so much nectar over here, that's what I want to do. So, as contrasted with, say, reading maybe a 5,000 word essay on some subject, where I really try to get a handle of the subject. I just watch 15 or 10-15 TikToks or Insta Reels. You click in them, we don't really gain much understanding, but it's titillating. So that's, our mind goes towards the initials. Whereas if we look through the soul, if the soul looks using the intelligence, then what happens? Then we see beyond the immediate. So here, you see beyond the nectar there is poison, so no, I won't be doing this. And here, beyond the poison there is nectar, so yes to it. So basically, the more we develop our intelligence, the more we will be able to say yes to the things that matter. And so first is intention. Now the difference between intention and intelligence is, intention is more in terms of a personal decision, but intelligence is equipping ourselves to reinforce that decision. Say for example, somebody has been drinking too much alcohol and they're using substance abuse and they decide, I want to stop this. Okay, that's intention, and no change can happen without intention. But once the intention is there, after that, that person has to have intelligence. Okay, why should I stop it? Because that feeling might come sometime. Yeah, I want to do this. Once there were 2 friends, one of them was alcoholic, so the other friend was constantly trying to get his friend to stop drinking. The first friend told his second friend that, yesterday I read a very powerful article about how dangerous consuming alcohol is, how dangerous alcoholism is. And it spurred me to immediate action. Oh, really? His friend was very pleased. What action did you take? He said, I immediately stopped reading the article. So, the idea is that even if we have some intention, unless we are boosting our intelligence, the intention gets sabotaged. So, the more we strengthen our intelligence, that intention, when we have created a healthy or noble intention, it can be boosted, it can be bolstered, it can be sustained. So for all of us, the intelligence of how to use artificial intelligence, talking about AI, artificial intelligence is hugely available and it is only going to increase more and more. But the intelligence of how to use artificial intelligence, that will come from our spirituality. That will come from timeless texts of spiritual wisdom like the Bhagavad Gita. So when we read these, that will repeatedly remind us of the things that matter. And based on the things that matter, we will be able to, based on that conviction about things that matter, we will be able to push aside the things that glitter. And that brings me to the last part. What is the last in the acronym? T. So T refers to taste. Many times people think that, okay, discipline means that, I have to say no to all the things that I enjoy. Well, it's not like that. If we have to say no to all the things that we enjoy, then we will say no to that very thing. Isn't it? It won't work for us. So basically, if you consider two circles, let's talk from a parenting example. Say if there's a parent and there's a child. Now parents have to make sure that their children are well nourished. So now there is food that is healthy. And then there is food that is tasty. Now, if these two circles were identical, life would be so easy. But while these two circles are not identical, that does not mean that there is absolutely no overlap. If as parents, if we observe, if our kid likes some food that is healthy, maybe a particular vegetable, maybe a particular cereal, a particular food that is healthy and they also find it tasty, then naturally we can prepare that more. Isn't it? So what applies to our children can also apply to us. We talk about things that matter and things that glitter. So these two are different, but they don't have to be entirely different. Things that matter means what is good for us. It's like healthy food. Things that glitter is what feels good. So if you can find out somewhere the area of intersection between the two, that is what will help us sustain ourselves in our discipline. There are some things that glitter which we have to say no to. There are some things that feel good we have to say no to. But if everything that feels good to us we have to say no, that will not be sustainable. So among the things that feel good for us, what are the things that are good for me? So with respect to AI, we can get information or entertainment or whatever with technology about hundreds of things. But okay, among those, what is it that is also of value to me? So that the thrill, the dopamine hit that comes by getting something new, something titillating, something quickly acquired. We don't have to always say no to that. But can I keep it within certain boundaries? Is there some area where these two intersect? So the idea is, taste means what I enjoy presently. It can take me to what I can enjoy permanently. Or it can take me away from what I can enjoy permanently. So basically, when we find something that gives us taste at right now, so there is what I enjoy presently, and then there is what I can enjoy more enduringly, permanently. So what I enjoy presently, if I'm here, what I want to do is I want to pursue this in such a way that it takes me here. This is good, but I don't want to pursue this in such a way that it takes me away. So for us, we can look at, through technology, many things are provided for us. But say we might like music. There are hundreds of kinds of music that are available. But maybe there's some music that is soothing, that is calming, that is uplifting, is spiritual music. Maybe let me seek that. My urge to search that outer power which I have gained through technology, it's not that I have to say no to it, but let me use it to focus on the areas where what I enjoy presently can point me towards what I enjoy permanently. And in this way, we all can find that it doesn't have to be that I have to give up all pleasure till I gain inner power. Rather, this is the last image I'll conclude with. Sometimes we feel I'm here and I have to go here. So this is the place of pleasure, and say this is the place of purpose. And say we think I have to give up my pleasure to get to the point of purpose. Okay. So, but what happens if we try to take a high jump? We end up going further down where we were. We take a huge leap. But what we can do is, once we find it some taste means what I can enjoy presently in a way that can take me towards what I enjoy permanently. Then it becomes a more incremental journey. I'm here, but then, so in between these two is the taste. That is the intersection of, you could say, pleasant pleasure and permanent pleasure. Or you could say even pleasure and purpose. What I want to do. So if I can find this intersection, then that will become like a stepping stone. And with this stepping stone, each one of us, from wherever we are, we can rise higher. So it's not that, say, we may be hooked to TV, we may be hooked to our phone, we may be hooked to social media. We may not be able to give it up completely. And we don't have to. We can't also, because we live in a world which is technology centered. We don't have to. But if we keep our compass directed towards a higher purpose, then we can find incremental steps. This incremental approach is what the Gita recommends in 6:25 and 26. Shanai Shanai Ruparamed. Gradually, step by step, from wherever we are, we can move upward towards the stage where we can be completely absorbed in the spiritual reality of who we are, in the higher purpose of our life. And then the outer power will never overpower us, but will rather become an aid for us in pursuing our higher purposes, because we have situated ourselves in a place of inner power. I'll summarize what I discussed today. Broadly, the topic we discussed was the role of spirituality in the age of AI. So essentially, we discussed about how any new technology, it can lead people towards utopia or dystopia. But essentially what technology does is, technology increases our outer power. And the outer power earlier was in terms of increasing our hands and legs, but beyond that it has gone that where it exceeds our head. It expands our head, but it exceeds our head also. And when this happens, this is where it leads to the outer power's growth leads to insecurity, because we start fearing that the subordinate, the tool, has become greater than the user of the tool, the master of the tool. And therefore, what we need is that while outer power is increased, how can we correspondingly increase our inner power? And for increasing inner power, we discuss this acronym IIT. So what was I? First I? Intention. So we all have desires, but intention, we could say, is it's like solidified solidified desire. Solidified means we have understood that there are things I want and things I want to want. That means that my immediate desires, but I want to make these greater. So rather than seeing our desires as just a singular, we see them as multi-layer, not just plural but multi-layer. So there are superficial desires which come in the moment, and there are deeper desires. So these deeper desires we can find by introspection. What really matters for me? I try to find that out. So once we have intention, then we can move towards, what is the next part? Intelligence. So intelligence means the capacity to see beyond. There is appearance and then there is substance. So intelligence helps us to see beyond appearance to substance. So, or we can say that the things that glitter and then the things that matter. So we want to go beyond this, and this is what in every field it is there. And in that connection we discussed about how it is the nature of pleasure also. There are things which taste like nectar initially, but they will be like poison eventually. And conversely, there are things which are like poison initially, but they will be like nectar eventually. So we discuss if we look through our intelligence or we look through our mind. So the soul, intelligence and mind, depending on how we look through, will determine what we look at. If we are looking at through our mind, it will simply say no and yes. No to the things which are not very good initially, on the other, which don't feel good initially. On the other hand, if we look through the intelligence, we will be able to make healthier decisions. So that's what we need to equip our intelligence, and the intelligence can be equipped by things like studying wisdom texts like the Bhagavad Gita. So intelligence is nourished through Gita study. And the last part was, yes, the fourth or IIT was taste. So taste means that what we enjoy presently. We try to find out the intersection between, like for children, what is healthy and what is tasty, what feels good and what is good. So we don't have to say no to all pleasure, but we find out that inner power, which is basically the capacity to subordinate pleasure to purpose. This doesn't mean that we have to take a high leap, rather we can take incremental steps. And these incremental steps happen by, we can find how what we enjoy presently can take us towards the present enjoyment, can take us towards permanent enjoyment. And each one of us, you can find, say, the outer power that we got through technology, if you can use it to regain or to reinforce our taste in the things that are not just feeling good but also are good for us, then we can even have the dopamine hit in that particular area, but we won't be distracted by it. Rather, we'll be facilitated in our journey towards gaining inner power, by which we can use outer power constructively. Thank you very much. Great.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? Any takers, any realizations?
The question is, life is so busy to introspect. Like days go so fast, and by the time evening comes, the battery is completely died down. So, give me some tips or tools that I really introspect. How to approach that?
Okay. So, first of all, being busy is not a bad thing. It is only if we are busy in things that are not important for us. So then that's when it becomes a problem. So the Gita talks about 3 modes. There are like 3 gears, you could say. Like a car can function in various gears. So there is tamas, that is the mode of darkness. This is lethargy, apathy. Then there is rajas. This is the mode of activity, hyperactivity, energy. And so you could say tamas is associated with lethargy, rajas is associated with energy, and sattva is associated with clarity. So there are 3 modes, and basically we all function within these 3 modes at different times. So first of all, if a life is busy life basically means that at least rajas, it is protecting us from tamas. So it is good to be busy rather than just be having nothing to do. And especially if somebody is born comfortable in a well-to-do family, they may not even want to have a job. They can just live on welfare, play video games, watch movies, and just vegetate around and waste their life. So rajas is better than tamas in many ways. And our life is such that most of the times we will be functioning in rajas. That's just the nature of the world we live in, the nature of the professional and social and family obligations that we have. So what we need is that sattva, even if it is a brief time, even if it's a few minutes in a day, we may not always be in sattva, but we can decide our overall pattern for life while we are in sattva. So that means, okay, during this day or during this week, these are activities I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to spend my time. If we decide that during sattva, then even if we go into rajas, even if we go into the mode of energy or hyperactivity, that won't disorient us too much. So if we can do it daily just for a few minutes, and the way to do it is, in general, if you want to bring about an inner change, there is to, after our emotions are going in particular directions. Now we're feeling angry, we're feeling upset, we're feeling disheartened. So changing emotions is difficult. But actually what we can do is change our questions. What do I mean by this? That if we can formulate some questions for ourselves. So we need some quality time. Maybe just sit on one weekend for a few hours. Make a list of things that matter for us. And then formulate some questions. Okay, what matters for me? Maybe it's my spiritual growth, maybe it's family, my health, my financial stability. And then there are other things, we can put things in a hierarchy. And then we ask ourselves at the end of the day, okay, how did I spend my time? Was my activity in alignment with my priority? So these questions basically are our activities are they aligned with our priorities? But this question, at the end of the day, we may just feel, oh, I just wasted so much time. That is not very helpful. I couldn't do much in my life today. That will just, we are already feeling down and we feel further down. That's not what is very helpful. Okay, so, this is what I wanted to do. What exactly happened when I was not able to do this? Or what did I do? I was not able to do it. So when we have questions ready to ask ourselves, so we can gain greater self-awareness. So for example, I have a whole seminar on journaling. But just some simple things we can ask is, quite often 4 questions at the end of the day if we ask. So if we consider a day, what was the best thing that happened to me? Then what was the worst thing that happened to me? Conversely, what was the best thing that I did? What was the worst thing that I did? So basically what will happen, this will give us a parameter, okay? So if these are the things which I consider important, sometimes some small argument may have happened with someone and that just spoils our mood completely. But on that very day, something very important and good may have happened, but we may completely overshadow that. So basically, in our life broadly, we can say that our life can be divided into things that happen to us and things that happen through us. Things that we do basically. So events and actions. So among the events, what is the best event of the day? What is the worst event of the day? What is the best action of the day? What is the worst action of the day? So if you just ask this simple question, answering this question may take 3-4 minutes. One question may take 1 minute. And if we need, we can spend more time later on, maybe on a weekend or something like that when we have a little more time. Just start. But this is just a suggestion. We can find out what questions we can ask ourselves by which we can do introspection, by which we can align ourselves, align our activities with our priorities. Thank you.
That same question. What is the importance of, when we do the introspection, is it important to write it down, like you said, journaling, or just thinking about it? What is the importance of penning down those thoughts? How does it?
Okay. So, is penning the thoughts down important? It's important to make a start, some way or the other. So the nature of the mind is that it will look for excuses for not doing the things that are of value to us. Think, I don't have time to write. If I write, if somebody else reads what I've written, then what will happen? I wrote in this book, but I don't have that book with me now. So many excuses will come up. So we can start just by investing some time to think. Nowadays we have transcription software, you can even speak and dictate. But the point is, writing, it's one way, it's helpful because it engages more and more of our senses. Just like when we are doing a mantra chanting. If it's just in the mind wanders everywhere. But if we are uttering the sound and we are also fingering the beads, then it becomes more immersive. So like that, when we are trying to do introspection, if we are journaling, if we are writing things down, then it's not just in our head thinking. When we are thinking in our head, when we stop thinking of what we want to think about and we start thinking about what our mind brings up, we will not even realize it. So our introspection session can also suddenly change into a resentment session, into a self-loathing session, into a blaming session. So it's not that our introspection should be simply that we are finding faults with others or finding faults with ourselves. No, the purpose of introspection is not judgment, it is understanding. So judgment means, I'm such a fool. When you say, what is the bad thing I did? What a fool why did I do that? I'm such a terrible person. No, it's just if you're trying to understand ourselves. So understanding comes first, then evaluation can come afterwards. So inside our head, depending on our particular tendency that is there, we will go off in that direction. If our tendency is to blame others, we'll start blaming others. If our tendency is to blame ourselves, we start beating ourselves up. But when we have to write things down, it is more engaging. So in that sense, writing is helpful. But the most helpful thing is to start off some way or the other. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to thank Chaitanya Charan Prabhu for taking his time out of his busy schedule. He has so many engagements, but he still chose to come here and give us his valuable time. So please, just a round of applause to him. Also, I would like to thank Maureen for organizing this event, and last but not the least, I would like to thank all of you for coming out today and listening to what he has to say. So thank you so much for coming. There are a couple of things. One thing is that we have some snacks. We have some samosas in the back, so we can you can have that. And also there's lots of books here, and I think he's going to make some announcements. I can I can definitely tell you that there is one which is called like a daily calendar, and it is amazing. Every day you just read one thing based on the date that you get. It gives you kind of energy and power to go through the remaining of the day. It will give you some instructions.
So this is what you mentioned, 365 quotes inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. So connected with our session today, those who can't face books seek shelter in Facebook. So if we don't have inner power, we just go for outer power. So like that, hold our plans lightly, hold our Lord tightly. Humility doesn't center on devaluing ourselves. It centers on valuing things that are bigger than ourselves. And so like that, there are many different quotes. Jealousy makes us expert at counting blessings of others. So each of these is a quote inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. If you Google the quote, it may take you to my website, Gita Delhi, where there's an article and explaining the quote as well as the words. But even without that, this is a good spiritual nugget to have. We talk about this intersection of things that are healthy and tasty. So some short quote might be helpful in that direction. As much of what I spoke today is also from this book, You Are Not Your Mind. 64 reflections on mind management based on the Bhagavad Gita. Each article is accompanied by the simple diagram explaining the concept. It's a 2-page article with some reflection questions also. And then there is a new book which I have written on the Ramayana. The Ramayana is an ancient Indian epic which gives a lot of ethical and spiritual wisdom. This is living the Ramayana. So how sometimes relationships break down, how misunderstandings occur, how can we avoid those when we feel disheartened, how can we regain our morale. So that's explained through incidents in the Ramayana. And these two are books on the Bhagavad Gita, the book I spoke on. So this approaches the Gita from a rational perspective and addresses questions. There are 100 articles in it, addresses questions that may come in our minds when we study the Gita. This addresses the Gita more from a relational perspective, where how the Gita is not just a book of philosophy, but it's a book of love, book of a loving relationship between the speaker Krishna and the student Arjuna, and ultimately between divinity and humanity. This also has images for each article, again 2 pages articles. So if any of you would like to have any of these books, they're available behind, and I'll also be here sometime if you have any questions or if you want the books to be signed. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.